Catherine heard a noise, pushed open the window, and discovered that her husband had returned home early. She quickly got dressed and woke up the man beside her.
My husband has returned.
To prevent the affair from being exposed, Catherine had to quickly clean up the scene. She shoved Sebastian, along with his clothes, into the side door. When her husband entered the room, he found Catherine sitting on the bed, waiting for him. She skillfully answered every one of his questions.
You have the bed made up for two every night?
Ever since your letter came, I had no indication of when you might be returning. And thank goodness I did. You must be tired.
Catherine's answers were flawless, but the belt on the floor gave her away. Even so, she continued to lie. Yet, the man was not so easily fooled.
You have become a whore in my absence, Catherine.
Clearly, her husband already knew about her infidelity, so he couldn't help but humiliate her.
I do not like being talked about, madam. I do not like being laughed at. I do not like owning a whore. You will never see that man again. He will be sent from this house.
Hearing her husband's words, Catherine immediately became anxious, as she could no longer endure the life of a living widow. So she decided to lay her cards on the table, pulling the man hiding in the side door out and flaunting her affair with another man in front of her husband. But the next second, she received a slap in the face, and then the two men started fighting. The lover, who was physically weaker, was quickly defeated, pinned against the wall by her husband, and received a heavy blow. Catherine rushed forward to help her lover, but was pushed to the ground. Her husband, filled with rage, pressed the man's head down, venting his anger. Just then, Catherine grabbed an iron bar and struck her husband to the ground. She vented her suppressed emotions like a madwoman until she was exhausted. Before dawn, Sebastian quickly buried the corpse, while Catherine buried her husband's horse and then washed the blood off her clothes in the river. After getting rid of her father-in-law and husband, Catherine had no more worries and lived with her lover, Sebastian. Sebastian, the formerly lowly groom, began to enjoy the treatment of a master. Just as they thought everything was going smoothly, the arrival of a child disrupted their peace. A boy named Teddy claimed to be Catherine's husband's illegitimate son, and his guardian had a document stating that all the property of the estate would belong to Teddy upon his father's death. Hearing this, Catherine panicked. To prevent the property from falling into someone else's hands, she quickly claimed that her husband was not dead, but only missing. But the woman was not easily fooled. She insisted on staying with little Teddy and waiting to inherit the property, and then began to act like the owner of the house.
Perhaps we might have tea.
Seeing the woman move in with her luggage and making herself at home, Catherine immediately felt threatened. She worried that she would eventually be pushed out and become penniless again. Facts proved that Catherine's worries were not unfounded.
You saying?
I was saying that perhaps it might be best if Teddy took your room. Then he's next to my room, and it's larger. You don't need all that space.
No.
No?
No, I don't need all that space.
After Christmas, then.
Yes.
With the arrival of little Teddy, Catherine's life was completely disrupted. Sebastian was sent back to the filthy, messy stables, while she could no longer enjoy the taste of being loved. Unwilling to endure loneliness, Catherine went to find Sebastian in the stables, but was stopped by little Teddy on the way. The innocent child easily won the heart of the adult, and Catherine had to give up for the time being. Seeing this scene, Sebastian felt very unbalanced. Why could Catherine continue to live a rich and comfortable life, while he was cast back into the mud? Just as Sebastian was feeling extremely depressed, he ran into the maid Anna passing by. Sebastian quickly stopped her.
You don't mind if I join you, do you? Just one more. A little with you.
This straightforward confession made Anna's heart begin to stir. Meanwhile, Catherine, who was unaware of what was happening, discovered that she was pregnant. She lay in bed, anxious, as she hadn't seen Sebastian for several days. Since he wouldn't come to her, she had to take the initiative. But after only a few days apart, Sebastian's attitude had completely changed.
Get off me.
I need to tell you
Back to
something.
your house and your little master, Catherine.
But Sebastian didn't want to waste words with her. He angrily pushed Catherine away and told her to go back to being the lady of the house, while he would stay in his place as a servant. Sebastian's words deeply hurt Catherine. The stubborn woman didn't argue further and swallowed the news of her pregnancy. She endured her physical discomfort and forced herself to leave. From then on, they were at an impasse. Catherine numbly played the role of the lady of the house, while the stableman, Sebastian, never sought her out. As Catherine struggled to find a way to break the deadlock, the maid brought news. The illegitimate son, Teddy, was missing. Although Teddy had come to inherit her husband's estate, Catherine still offered her help, sending all the servants in the estate to look for him. While waiting, Another thought crept into her mind. If something happened to Teddy, the property would be hers. Just as Catherine was having this evil thought, there was a sound outside. It turned out that they had found him. Sebastian carried the frozen little Teddy into the house. However, Teddy's guardian was ungrateful.
Get some blankets.
Who are you? How dare you walk into this house and give orders? Get out!
I saved him.
Get out!
Humiliated, Sebastian was furious and turned to leave the room. He packed his bags, ready to leave this awful place, not wanting to stay for another moment. Catherine tried her best to stop him, not wanting her beloved to leave. Sebastian then spoke of what had happened during the day.
I stood in front of him, Catherine. But that waterfall there, perfect drop. One step behind him.
But Sebastian didn't do it. Catherine told him it wasn't too late, both for the sake of the child in her womb and for their future happiness. Catherine then sent Teddy's guardian away, kindly offering to stay and take care of little Teddy. With everything in place, Catherine and Sebastian joined forces and killed the sleeping little Teddy. Afterwards, Catherine put on a show, trying to look sad and grieving. The maid, upon discovering the body, immediately spread the news of the boy's death. Teddy's guardian was devastated, and the inheritance she had been hoping for was gone. Just as Catherine thought everything had been perfectly handled, the coroner's report struck her like a thunderbolt. Teddy's body had scratches, clearly not a natural death. Catherine argued that it was normal for a playful child to have scars, but this reason was unconvincing. At that moment, Sebastian, feeling guilty, stepped forward to confess. He admitted that he and Catherine had murdered the child together. He accused Catherine of being a viper, not only smothering an innocent child with a pillow, but also poisoning her father-in-law with poisonous mushrooms and beating her husband to death with an iron bar. Sebastian said that he once loved Catherine very much, but after discovering her cold-bloodedness and ruthlessness, he lost all interest, leaving only disgust and hatred. Seeing the man she once loved so deeply now trying to kill her, Catherine was completely heartbroken.
He's lying.
Catherine retaliated, blaming everything on Sebastian and the mute maid. With Catherine's tearful performance, Teddy's guardian chose to stand by her side. In the end, the innocent maid, Anna, and Sebastian became the scapegoats. Both were sentenced to death and taken to the execution ground by carriage. Catherine not only escaped punishment, but also gained everything. She became the sole owner of the estate and inherited all the property. Now she was free from any restraints or suppression. Yet, she still sat stiffly on the sofa like a decoration, maintaining her image as the mistress of the house.